Hey, happy holidays, everyone. Welcome to the SOS Small Business Success Podcast, where we're helping you to build your brand so that you can survive and develop yourself so that you can thrive. And as we're closing out this year and going into another year, I know we have all of these hopes and aspirations of being able to be more efficient, be more effective, be more profitable, be more productive, lead better, do better, be better. And that's kind of where we're at with today's podcast here. So I'm your host, Bonnie Bonadeo. Welcome aboard. We are in episode 94. Our category today is under the education, and our title today is, of course, the SOS Jibe Ho Ho Ho. And we're going to reference that as a form of acknowledgement, how to be able to insert and create acknowledgement in conversations that help to diffuse people's concerns or allow them to feel heard. It's one of the most missing elements of communication that I hear all the time. It's one of the most powerful pieces that you can apply to any of your communication. And, usually where we get tripped up is when somebody says something, it's like, what do I say first? How do I absorb what they just said? And what do I say first in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish, or to not be as reactive as I want to be? Because we have a tendency to be very reactive as humans, right? We're emotion first, logic second. So sometimes just having that very first piece of communication at your fingertips will help you to be more effective in the way that you're trying to communicate, and to be able to kind of create that win-win for all parties in there. So this is going to fall into the education anchor of our SUM framework here. Now, so far this whole month, I've done, these are the 5 insights that I did when I did a reflective review of 2022. And so one was personal growth is worth the investment. You're going to hear more about that in January. The label coach in our industry is elusive and dangerous. Again, you'll hear more about that in January, because I'm getting some additional certifications going in January. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. That's going to add to what I consider to be a very powerful credential of being able to call myself a coach. We talked about social media is only one of many tools that you can use to grow. And as a matter of fact, it's not the number one tool in most cases that I use, or that I recommend my clients to use. And you can hear that podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Google Play, all of the usual, iTunes, all of the usual podcast things. And that was part of this in December as well. And last week, we talked about small business owners needing help to be profitable. And I had a guest, April McDaniel from Copes Odia as a CPA, talking about some of the things that we can start to prepare for to be more profitable going into the next year, and how to get ourselves organized and prepared for tax season. Not always the topic you want to talk about this time of year, but we can't ignore it. As business owners, you still have to have that business hat on first, and always first, in order to manage the process of being in business. But today we're going to talk a little bit about leadership and strategy mindset. I think these are the real keys to success, is knowing how to lead your people, knowing how to lead your business, and then also looking at what are the few pieces of strategy, not overwhelming. This is not like, hard strategy conversations here, but what are the things that I can put in place and make sure that we're all on the same page and moving forward in there. Now, I've always heard this comment that says, culture will eat strategy for lunch every day. I've heard that for years, right? I remember hearing that on the stages when I went to presentations, or some of the bigger programs that I used to direct in the industry. And although that's true, you have to be able to look at culture is your leadership. It's also your brand. So when you look at kind of what culture represents, it is partly your leadership capabilities. It's partly your brand identity. And then with that, that's how you then extract the strategy of how you're going to be able to be moving forward. So this is kind of falls into this particular place today. Now, We called it Jibe, ho, ho, ho. But let's look at, let's even define that, because you guys know I do this whole sailing, boating theme going on here with my podcast. It's helping me to continue to stay abreast of what I discovered was a passion and a love was sailing, and of course boating and being on the ocean. And hopefully 2023 will enhance my passion a little bit more. But jibe is a way of changing direction. Okay, so the captain jibes when the stern goes through the wind and he needs to change direction in order to create the zigzag max. So let's say that there's no wind over here. You're heading in a particular direction and there's no more wind, then you need to jibe in order to catch the wind, which means that you might be going away from your destined course in order to get to your destined course, right? If you think about that, that's also how it works with sometimes the conversations that we're having. So people will start out a conversation and it has a particular path. And maybe they're looking for a solution, they're looking for an answer, they want some kind of result or outcome with it. But then next thing you know, the conversation kind of zigzags a little bit to where they're adding something else in that doesn't have necessarily relevancy or importance to the main objective. But somehow they sense that this filler, adding more to it, is adding more value to the conversation. And it doesn't always. So when we're in these positions of leadership, or we're in these positions of being able to provide a customer experience, diffuse conflict, take care of a problem, then you want to make sure that you're kind of creating the opportunity, that you're the captain of the conversation and not them. Okay, but not without making them feel acknowledged. Okay, so here's where acknowledgement comes in. You want to make them feel acknowledged, but you want to be the captain of the conversation. Okay, so they're coming to you with a problem. They need some type of outcome. There's some specific directives that you can do in order to be able to solve this and not have it escalate or be a reactive conversation. Okay. And it's all part of an emotional intelligence conversation that we're talking about here. But I'm going to share with you my SOS coaching formula that I use. It's called AWAIT, and it's lined up in a particular order. Now, it varies depending on where you're starting from. But let's say that a client calls and they're unhappy with their hair. The first thing you want to be able to do is create a form of acknowledgement that you have heard them, that they are dissatisfied, unhappy with their hair. You are creating a form of acknowledgement, okay? The last thing that you want to do is add policy, all right? So and I'll go through some examples as we kind of progress with that, okay? So you want to create a form of acknowledgement that you have heard there is a problem. Okay. The next thing that you would want to do is kind of create this dialogue of being able to ask a question, get more information, wait for them to answer the question, create another form of acknowledgement in this process that you've heard them, insert what you need to share with them in order to progress the conversation forward. And you either have the ability to tether it. In other words, you may not be able to complete it, close it out, completely make it go away at that moment, but you can tether it to another action. Or you can, if you are able to be able to close it out, then you can close it out and call it complete in there. So that's kind of the AWAIT formula in there. So let's jibe. Let's look at some examples of this. Okay, so a client is trying to get in Christmas week, and they're not your typical, pre-booking, rebooking type of clients, and they're calling up, trying to get in with you Christmas week. Someone might be answering the phone and just be like, no, we're totally booked. Or, oh, she's been booked out for 3 weeks, like, what were you thinking? And so you can hear that doesn't really create an acknowledgement in there. Okay. So for whatever reason that this client doesn't understand that maybe this particular stylist is very, very busy and absolutely your appointments need to be pre-booked. Maybe they're a new client and they don't know, and they just thought they could call up and make an appointment. So the first thing you want to be able to do is say, thanks for calling us, or I understand. Let me see what I can do. So you don't have to fulfill this obligation, but you're creating a form of acknowledgement in the beginning of the conversation to where at least they see that you're making an effort. Saying something like, oh, we're completely booked, or it's the week of Christmas, our clients pre-book these appointments way in advance, type of thing. That's all that's going to do is have that person go, okay, I don't want to go there. All right, so let's look at another situation here. A stylist has called in sick and you're having to call the clients and let them know that the stylist is not available and it's the week of Christmas or whatever. So you'd be calling and just saying, I just wanted to let you know that Joy is unable to be in today. She's homesick. So we'd like to reschedule your appointment, or we can put you with another stylist if that's an option for you. Okay. And they're like, I booked this appointment 6 weeks ago. You're going to say something like, I understand, thank you for pre-booking your appointment. Let me see what I can do for you. When would you like to wait until you can get back in with Joy? Or would you like me to find you another stylist? In other words, do you see how I'm kind of doing the await? I'm acknowledging them, then I'm going into asking the questions. I'm acknowledging them, I'm going into asking the questions, okay? Client is late. Let's talk about a client is late. So the client calls and says, oh, I'm running a few minutes late. And instead of just saying, oh, well, I'm not sure if she's going to be able to do you now if you're more than 10 minutes late, which is kind of like, this person is probably doing everything they can to get there on time. And they have the courtesy to call and let you know that they're going to be late. So you could say something like, I understand. Thanks for letting us know, but let me do a double check and make sure that she can still get you in, or what this could look like for you if, at this point. And at least then there's this opportunity where she knows she can still get there. There's still something that can be done, but maybe there's some sacrifices in regards to the timing of the appointment. In other words, maybe if it's a full highlight, it can only be a partial. Maybe if it's, a haircut, either somebody else is going to have to blow dry, or she may not be able to get a full style blow dry out. There's always ways that you can make this work, but you have to think about what's most important to that client. Okay. And so you want to be able to create that acknowledgement. Thank you for calling and letting us know. Let me check and see, type of thing. So you're immediately diffusing them in their panicked situation here. All right. Client is concerned about the price at the front desk. You don't want to go into policy, or you don't want to say, oh, well, we typically, or we always, or what we say starting at, type of thing. Okay. I want you to think about how that sounds to the client here. Starting at, okay. That would be like me, calling up and asking if if they have a particular dress in stock that I saw being advertised, and they're like, we sure do. We have it in a size 8, Bonnie. And it's like, great. How much is that? And they're like, oh, well, it starts at $68. But if I actually go in there and the size 8 is too small and I have to go to size 10, and then all of a sudden it's like $100 because it's a different size or whatever, clients need to know kind of more specifically. So we have this philosophy that says if you say things like starting at 150, what the client hears is 150, not starting at. So you have to finish that sentence, and you finish that sentence with a form of acknowledgement. Our prices start at 150. However, our stylist will be able to provide you the more accurate pricing once you're here in the salon based on your consultation. Okay, so I'm creating that wraparound acknowledgement. So that's the part that they're hearing. It's based on the consultation, 150, not just starting at, because that's the part that they stop hearing when you're having conversations with them. And of course, there's always the typical overcoming client objections on buying home care. This is still a struggle for stylists, no matter what decade we're in, what year we're in, what century we're in. It's still a challenge for stylists to comfortably sell, home care products to their clients. But we continue to train our front desk of how to be more effective with that. So instead of saying, do you need anything today? they always share some type of promotion. You know, we have a gift with purchase available today when you buy 2 Orbe products. And that way, then the client's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should, you know, stock up on something. Or, you know, we have 25% off today on the following products, everything. They just always just add in. It's like saying, did you want fries with that? You know, did you want a drink with your meal? Did you want to upgrade it to a meal, or did you just want the sandwich? It's the same thing, you guys. We're so familiar with this kind of dialogue as consumers. We need to apply that comfortable and familiar dialogue in our business, in our world too. So acknowledgement looks like this. I understand. Thanks for, however you finish that out. Let me see what I can do. That is acknowledgement. That diffuses a reactive approach to somebody not feeling as though they're being taken care of or heard. People want to be heard. They want to know that you're going to solve the problem. If you are not in a position to solve the problem, then that's where you're tethering it to another action. So it could be, well, if you'll give me a few minutes to be able to review this, I can have so-and-so or my manager call you back shortly, type of thing. So you're tethering it to a different action, and then you got to be able to fulfill that different action. Okay, make sense? All right. I truly believe that we are just in a space right now in society that it's not that we're not trying to be kind. I think that we're just not acknowledging it. We're so focused on what our outcome is and what our desire is in this moment that we're sometimes not putting ourselves in other people's shoes or creating that conversation that feels connective. And if you're not connecting to the conversation, then you're not connecting to a long-term client. They will find somewhere else to go if they don't feel like they've been treated right. And you know, in spite of how long they've been seeing a stylist or how much they love that stylist doing their hair, they will, you know, start choosing to go somewhere else if they don't feel as though they are valued, respected, and appreciated. Okay. All right. Now, all of this and more is coming for the new year. I have a program. It's a 90-minute program, you guys, and it's really just mindset and strategy. And it's kind of getting into this mindset to be able to look at where are some of these areas of your business within these 5 anchors: sales, operations, mindset, marketing, and education. Where are those areas that you need to put a little bit more effort into going into 2023? Spend 90 minutes with me, and I promise you it'll be worth your time, okay? We'll map out what your 2023 needs to look like, focusing in on the bigger pieces that you want to get accomplished. And you guys can register for this now. It's mindsetandstrategy.com, www.mindsetandstrategy.com. It's a $37, fee to attend this. And honestly, guys, I just put that on there because I just want you to show up. I want you to show up and I want you to be present for 90 minutes so that I can help you put the plan together. You're going to get the plan from me once you register. So you'll have it all in front of you, and then we'll look at what this needs to look like for you. There's a bonus, obviously, that if you attend the 90-minute workshop, that I'll do a one-on-one with you to help you complete your plan and make it more personalized to you. So if that's an option for you, go to mindsetandstrategy.com, register. It's January 16th. It's going to be from 12 to 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. I hope to be able to see you. I'm looking forward to 2023 having an incredibly powerful year, help you guys to be more productive and profitable. And in the meantime, happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah. And I look forward to seeing you after Christmas for another episode of the SOS Small Business Success Podcast. Thanks for joining me.